You there, Aman, but I'm being told that there is some breaking news which is coming in. This is on the Balasore train crash, and CBI sources have indicated that the sectional engineer of Balasore has been arrested along with two others. This is the first set of arrests that have happened. About 3 people have been arrested in this, along with the railway authorities and the police force concerned. The CBI special team was looking into this entire matter. There were questions about what led to this accident. Was it an act of sabotage? Was there technical failure on which this massive tragedy could be blamed upon? There were hundreds of people who had lost their lives. There were more than 1,000 people who were injured. My colleague Arunima with us on the broadcast. Arunima, what more details?
So CBI has arrested these 3 people and accused them of criminal activity under 304 of the IPC and also 201. So essentially destruction of evidence and also culpable homicide are the sections that they have been arrested under. The role of the 3 people: Pappu was a technician, Mohammed Amir Khan was the Soro signal in charge. He was like the junior engineer there. And the third person, Arun Kumar, is also the sectional engineer. So the charge against them is that their action of signal of the way the signal in that track was maintained, that led to this train accident. Their culpability has been established. And subsequent to the accident, it looks like they stand accused of trying to really hide what they did, hence the charge of destruction of evidence as well. Now we're waiting for CBI to tell us more about the specific instance of crime that these committed allegedly, for which they have been arrested. But at this moment, prima facie, this is what CBI officials are telling us.
Arunima, prima facie, once again, offhand, and your understanding of what the motive was. Was this a technical failure? What are you picking up in terms of the intent with which these crimes have been committed?
So I think that CBI is not yet telling us whether this was intentional. Otherwise, if this was intentional and planned, perhaps they would have slapped 302, the section for murder. But the fact that they have slapped 304 means that they're not saying that this was a conspiracy or this was premeditated. What they're essentially saying is that the action of signal maintenance or the lack of maintenance as required under the rule book, under the guidelines, that itself led to the death of so many people, and therefore there is a criminal culpability made out. Of course, they can go and argue in the court whether the criminal culpability is made out or not, but the CBI officials, prima facie, I do feel that there is criminal culpability, and it's the destruction of evidence charge, I think, which is even more significant. Even if there was a mistake or even if there was something that you did, and if you subsequently went to hide that, then that's the most stringent charge. And that's what CBI has slapped on them, destruction of evidence. Like I said, we're still waiting to know from them exactly what is the specific crime that each one is accused of.
Right.
There is one sectional engineer, one junior engineer in charge of signal, and one technician.
I'm sure this is not the only set of arrests which would be made. Are you getting indications about any other arrests that could be done?
Not yet. In fact, the way CBI started investigating, when they reached the spot, they had sealed the signal room. They had taken charge of the documents and the technical area from where signal was really operated upon. Even the residents of the suspects, there was a lot of chatter in the locality about Mohammed Amir Khan. He was the junior engineer in charge of signals there. His residence was also under CBI scrutiny to try and figure out if CBI could pick up any evidence. They were looking whether this was a conspiracy or not. But so far, they have not been told if they have found any traces of any conspiracy, any premeditated thought, and whether there will be more people who would be held accountable. At this stage, officials are not really telling us anything.
So, Arunima, so far no clarity in terms of, or no conclusive clarity in terms of motive and how this crime was committed. Was there a real intention to do though? But you're pointing out 304 has been slapped. What are the other sections? Could you take us through them?
Yes, 304 and 201 is what they're confirming. Those are the 2 sections that are being, 120B, the charge for criminal conspiracy, it has not been slapped. That's what CBI officials are telling us. Okay. And the way this was planned, I think, prima facie, what the CBI has found out after going on ground is that this accident happened because of a signaling issue. The way the trains sent from the main line to the loop line, the way it was missed that a goods train was already there. The 2 passenger trains coming on the same side, they have established that this was a signaling issue and that this signaling issue was known to the three people who have been arrested. They knew this was the reason why so many people lost their lives. And even after knowing that, they tried to cover their track. They tried to cover their trail by not confiding in authorities, and hence the charge of destruction of evidence.
All right. So the fact that they did not share the information that they had is being construed as the destruction of evidence, as Arunima is pointing out. Arunima, ever since that very unfortunate accident, one of the worst that we've seen in the last 3 to 4 decades has happened, there were a slew of theories that were doing the rounds, and that's why CBI was roped in. Could you take us through the passage of the inquiry? What were the twists and turns that we have seen?
See, from the moment this accident happened, there was Ashwini Vaishnav, the railway minister himself, came out and said that this accident happened because it looked like there was kind of a sabotage attempt. And this was a question that was repeatedly asked, that if this was sabotage, are you indicating towards a conspiracy? Are you indicating that somebody deliberately carried out the sabotage, and would this then not be a fit case for NIA to investigate? But the government stuck with ground. It got CBI on board, and while investigating the sabotage theory, it reached the stage where these 3 arrests have been made today. The sense that we are getting after speaking to the CBI officials is that there was a signaling issue which led to this particular accident, and 3 people who were in charge of the signaling system, they have been held accountable and they have been arrested. There is nothing to suggest at this stage that this was premeditated or this was a conspiracy or they had discussed this. Because that makes it even more significant. If that was the charge, then it would have been 302. There would have been other charges brought in as well. So that is not the indication that we are being given that this was premeditated. However, they were aware that there was an issue why this accident happened. There was an issue with the signaling system, and they tried to cover their tracks. That, I think, makes their crime even more improbable. And that's why, and the CBI will argue this when this matter reaches a court of law. We'll have to wait and see how the 3 suspects defend themselves.